Oh, hello, everybody. People can see us now, Court, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Hello. Hello, everyone out there.
Hello.
I hope everyone's having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday today. It's like raining cats and dogs here in Toronto today. So
It's rain. It's not, you know what? It's not raining here in Northern Ontario. So 45 minutes north of Ryan is not raining.
good.
So that's the weather.
That's the weather. That's all you need to know. In fact, I don't know if we'll even bring up the weather in the show itself. By the way,
You,
hello, Kevin. By the way, I see you in the chat.
hello, Kevin. Is
Yeah,
that so, Ryan? Is that you in the chat as Carpool Gaming, or is that Sean at
that's
the
me.
airport?
That's me.
Okay.
But sometimes when I'm on his carpool gaming, sometimes Sean will also log in and then type his carpool gaming, and then it gets real confusing.
Because I think he is in the air as we speak. He could be landing,
He
actually.
could be. He could be. He's on his way to Chicago.
Yeah, Chi-Town.
Yeah, gonna get one of those awesome pizzas. I'm gonna put it in quotations, pizzas.
Aren't they just casseroles? Like, I think we've gotten to this point where we can say, and to be honest, they're not good. As a lactose intolerant person, they're gross.
I mean, they're probably fine for some people. I just don't think you and I are the target demographic for, that type of za, as the kids say. They say za still, right? When they're talking about
Mind
pizza.
you, for lunch today, I had some Fruit Loops. So, it's what happens when you turn my age. You just have Fruit Loops for
I mean, I
lunch.
had a bagel, so I mean, I didn't do much better than you. So it's all good.
And I've been playing a video game nonstop since Friday.
Yeah,
Like literally every moment I can, I've been playing a game. It's driving me crazy.
good.
Yeah, this is my first review season as they call it.
Yeah, it's busy. It's not an easy thing. And all you have to do now is tag two giant open world games on top of the game that you're playing now, Court, and you'll know what it was like for me last review season, like doing like three giant open world games back to back, just cause.
I don't think you realize, Ryan, when you said to me in our Discord chat to not play another game,
Mhm.
to just don't worry about it and only focus on that one, it took like a load of pressure because I was like, okay, how am I going to play both of these at the
Yeah.
exact same time?
The answer is
This
you
is
don't do
impossible.
that. You focus on
Yeah.
one, and then it's just the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I keep
And
telling
it
Sean
totally, and
this, but Sean just keeps playing 8 games at once, and then wonders
well,
why he can't get into one.
I am playing a couple games, but I have stopped for the last 3 days. I've only been playing this one game because I was like, no, I can't jump into these other ones. I've just got to keep going.
Yeah. Good God.
I guess I can say it. It doesn't matter. Yes,
Well,
I've been
no.
playing.
Hang on. We're gonna save it
Oh,
for the pod, Court, because
oh,
we
okay,
haven't even
okay.
started the podcast yet. This is just the pre-show.
We're just chit chatting.
We're just chit chatting.
Hey, can we talk about your Calgary Flames actually being good this year? And I didn't see this coming.
But I mean, they were always gonna be good, Court. We do.
No,
This, it's
that's
gonna
not
happen.
true.
I
No,
know.
when they traded away like half their team,
Oh, I know. When
and
when you lost when we lost Gaudreau, it's like, well, there goes the season this season. But things are looking up for the Flames this year.
and Columbus isn't doing too well with them. So what's the difference?
I was listening to Sweet Hangs this week with Sean and Donnie, and they were talking about Columbus because that Donnie's from Ohio, so it just makes sense.
See,
for them
he
to
hates
talk about
hockey
it.
though.
That's true, but
Hmm.
so when they were talking about Columbus and how they were supposed to be good this year, and yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Go listen to the Sweet Hangs. So it's a good podcast.
I got made fun of by Donnie for hockey talk. So
Well, how dare you, Court? First of all, how dare you
well,
like sports?
I can talk hockey all day long. My two teams are one's first in the East and one's first in the West.
Yeah.
Shocker.
I mean, the main thing is you don't care about the Leafs, so at that point,
Yeah,
you're
they
good in my
suck.
books.
Honestly, I saw the best. My wife sent me this Instagram post today, and it showed this guy, and he was like, "Hey, did you hear the Maple Leafs' new sponsor is milk? It's very weird that they have a sponsor. Don't you need a cup?" And I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like it was very well done. I was laughing very very much so.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, anyways, Court, I'm gonna mute us. We're gonna roll the Xbox Drive intro now and get this show started. So stand by, folks.
No power greater than X.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 263rd level. Wait, no, this isn't the RPG Cave. This is the Xbox Drive. Welcome to the Xbox Drive episode 263. I'm not used to doing the intro. I'm Ryan Turford, the man on the moose. And joining me this week, filling in for Sean Capri, the pants man who is away on vacation, it's Court Lalonde. You're back on the show. Welcome back to the show, Court.
Thanks for having me back. Yeah, I guess I should have done the intro. I was like honestly sitting here. I was like, I was actually waiting for you to pull like that one time where you're just like, oh, by the way, you're hosting.
Yeah.
So I was actually waiting to see if you threw me a curveball. So thank you for not doing that because I was a little bit nervous that you were going to make me host.
No, please. I mean, like if one of the two main hosts of the show is here, you know, I will take on that role and responsibility. But Sean told me once, never do like the intro like he does. So I don't. So that's why, you know, we're just gonna roll the intro. We're gonna be like a normal podcast, Court. We're gonna just roll an intro and just introduce ourselves and talk about the weather. Because it's raining here in Toronto and it's not raining where you are. And that's the last time I talk about the weather on this gosh darn podcast.
Brian.
But before we go any further, Court, I have to address, because of course you did the questions post this week before I had a chance to get to it. And
I did. I just figured, what the heck? I was sitting here and I felt creative, so I went with it.
That's true. Hey, no disrespect to you at all, or no shade thrown here. But I wanted to address this question from Steve Vigvari at SVigvari on Twitter, our friend over there. He asks, now that Court Lalonde has usurped Sean Capri's position as host of the Xbox Drive, what is the first order of business? Of course, we got to talk about this at the beginning of the show before we talk about questions. So, Court, now that you are, Sean Capri this week, what's the first order of business on this episode of the Xbox Drive?
If I'm Sean, I guess I should have been screaming at you. So that'll be the first order of business, that I promise not to scream into the mic and yell at people. I know he doesn't do it purposely, but let's be honest. And Ryan, how about this? What I will do is I will show interest when you talk about a JRPG.
Excellent, because I don't think we're talking about any JRPGs on the show this
week. I believe on the RPG Cave you were not complaining, but saying the lack of RPGs during this review season.
It's true. There's not many.
But no, there isn't. Thank God.
But to be fair, most of the good JRPGs actually came out earlier this year, or actually in September. There were lots of good ones in September. Although, and I tweeted about this before we started the show, Star Ocean, The Divine Forest is a JRPG, and it's coming out at midnight tonight. So
also, I would also, because Sean is not here, we also have Bobby, but we also have a second mascot for the show, and that will be Jar Jar Binks.
Of course.
As long as I'm on the show, he will be one of the mascots of the Xbox Drive.
The only downside is we have like a Bobby plushie on my shelf behind me, but we don't have any Jar Jar paraphernalia on our shelves yet.
And as Ryan knows, I did find one at Star Wars Galaxy, but Sean seemed, I believe the word would be annoyed.
Yeah.
So I did not buy it.
You could have, though. You could have.
I could have. If we were gonna see him, Ryan.
Yeah.
If it was like right before the Xbox showcase, I definitely would have bought it, and I definitely would have gave it to him in public in front of a whole bunch of people.
Nice. Well, anyways, we should probably get this show on the road, as the kids might say. So let's clean the garage a little bit. So,
again.
Folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now, or if you're watching the video on demand later over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ding, 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 ring that bell to be notified whenever we go live or whenever we put up a new video on the channel. Like many of the upcoming reviews that are up, I always like to plug something, when talking about the YouTube channel, Court, and there's lots of stuff coming up on the YouTube channel. In fact, there's also a very fancy live stream happening tomorrow, which I'll plug in a few minutes here, but look out for that.
Is that your live stream?
I will have a live stream, Court. It's very exciting. But also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to subscribe to us on your audio feed of choice. And don't forget to rate us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That just helps the show get discovered. Also, if you want the show a little bit early, or if you want some exclusive content, like the 4-hour epic episode of Sweet Hangs this week that Donnie and Sean recorded, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar, just like Tech Mike did, who joined at the exclusive tier. And then we're welcoming on back Skinny Matt to the gold tier. So huge thank you to all of our patrons who support us over there on the old Patreon. Also, we have a
Skinny Matt, my fellow old dad, by the way, because
exactly.
we're the elder statesmen, I guess, in the carpool gaming community.
Exactly. Well, also, if you want an Xbox Drive t-shirt or any other carpool gaming merch, head on over to our merch store, bit.ly/CPG merch. And then Extra Life is 10 days away, Court. Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
I can. Yeah. I will be there in spirit to everybody. I coach a hockey team, so I can't go anywhere on any weekends. My wife is also away. It's also my daughter's birthday following week. It's just, yeah, there was no way I was going to Rome, New York. I won't be doing anything on any weekends until hockey season's over. I'm on the ice Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and Sunday afternoon.
My God.
Yeah.
Well, Extra Life is actually happening in Rome, New York, as Court alluded to. Our friends over at Save the Game Media and the Trophy Room are joining us at Carpool Gaming. We're all coming together to help raise money for the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. If you'd like to donate, head on over to Extra Life page, which is in the description of this video, or the show notes if you're listening on podcast feeds, which is just extra-life.org/participant/save the carpool trophy. We have a ton of awesome prizes we're giving away, including a God of War Ragnarok Collector's Edition, a Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker Collector's Edition, Xbox Game Pass codes, all kinds of game codes, and just all kinds of cool stuff. So head on over there. Every $10 you donate will get you an entry into all the prizes. And that is, I think that's everything that we crossed off the docket. We did it, Court. We made it all the way to the show.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a lot, though. That's just like our content on Carpool Gaming /YouTube. YouTube/Carpool Gaming. It's literally daily. Just Seth's knocking it out of the park with those shorts.
I mean, you are doing a lot of shorts yourself, Court. Just throwing it out there.
I'm trying.
Just to give you a little pat on your back over there.
No, I don't need a pat on my back. Not today.
Well, I did it
Today
anyways.
I feel old. That's all. I just feel old today.
Oh, jeez. By the way, everyone in the chat, say happy birthday to Court, because it's Court's birthday today. He decided to podcast on his birthday. I can't believe it. But
Yeah, you're telling me.
Good God. Anyway,
I did a lot today. I got a massage today. That was amazing.
Nice. Well, anyways, let's grab our A-tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist, and let's talk about the games we played. So, Court, I know you're focusing on a game that's not on Xbox. So, did you play anything that's on Xbox this week in particular?
No, well, I've been playing. I've been playing a couple games. I have been playing NHL 23, so I know that is a game that Ryan really wants to get to at some point. And I would recommend, Ryan, I would recommend jumping in. It's not much different than the previous, but I will say they got rid of a lot of the cheesy goals.
Mm-hmm.
So they have upped the difficulty level just a little bit. You can't just do that normal one-timer pass across the crease and score every time, which I do appreciate. As someone who plays the game a lot, when you get the cheesy goals in there every now and then, it's just like, you know what? It takes a little bit of the fun and it takes a bit of the game of hockey away. And then it's also fun playing a hockey game during hockey season because here in Canada, it's hockey season. We're watching a lot of hockey on TV.
Yeah.
I have also played a game that I know that you have played. I played about 2 hours of it, and that would be Gotham Knights.
That's the game. I mean,
Yes.
just to throw it out there to spoil my section, that's basically the only game I played on Xbox this week too. Or at least the only one I can really talk about right now. So, and I played a ton of Gotham Knights actually. So,
yes, I actually, I will say this: I want to play a lot more Gotham Knights. Luke Lore said it best on Twitter today or yesterday. One of those days he put it out there and was just like, once you get over that this is an Arkham game and you play it like it's a Gotham Knights game, it's a good game.
Yeah.
I had fun with the 2 hours I played. I actually liked the detective mode.
Mm-hmm.
I only use Nightwing though. I never got to use any other characters.
Yeah, they it takes a little bit before they allow you to switch characters.
Okay.
And even then you have to do it like in the belfry itself between nights. That's how that works. So, but yeah, so I've actually put about 12 hours into the game so far. I've been playing a lot. And I mean, to your point that both you and Luke made, I'm having a lot of fun with this game. If I'm being honest, like, I'm having a great time. It's just, don't get me wrong. There are like a lot of critical issues that I can put at the game and many little nitpicks that bug me about the game. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that I'm having a great time playing it. That I'm still enjoying the kind of minute-to-minute gameplay of the game, and I'm just enjoying the experience. And you're right, like it's very different from the Arkham games because this isn't an Arkham game. It's very much an action RPG, similar to the Assassin's Creed action RPGs, like the modern Assassin's Creed games. So if you're into those types of games, but just removing all the choices dialogue from the experience, then I think you'll actually have a good time with this game. I'm actually, I've played through all four of the characters, and I thought, like, I was really excited to play as Batgirl for the entire experience going into the game, but her playstyle just doesn't really jive with me personally. Like, I'm just not really super into it because she's more of like a defensive minded character. And she's kind of like the in between of like she's one of the two heavier characters in the game. Her and Red Hood are kind of like the two heavy characters, and then Robin and Nightwing are the two kind of lightweight characters. And knowing Court, how much I love stealth games, because I know that you've heard me talk about that before. I've really enjoyed playing as Robin. Like, I really like his playstyle, both all the stealth like gadget stuff that you have access to with him, but also just his bow staff is just really fun to use in combat as well with enemies. So I've really enjoyed playing as him.
Yeah, my thought process is I was probably going to main with either Nightwing or Robin. I would try all four characters. Red Hood is the least one I wanted to even try.
Yeah.
Just nothing about that the character when they showed even in the trailers. I wasn't in for it. But I'm as someone that is a huge loves the Batman world, Gotham, anything to do with it. I was very excited, especially the Court of Owls story. I was already enthralled into the story. Like, I am playing probably one of the most anticipated games of the year right now on my PlayStation, and I am actually thinking about, I can't wait to get into Gotham, which is saying a lot because I think we've had a lot of issues this year with people getting mad at reviewers or so on and so forth, or people panning a game before, like with Gotham. Yes, they didn't tell everybody about the frames per second, but until like 2 weeks before the game, and which they probably, I think, should have told before. But it seems that we're judging games based on these aspects before we're actually playing the game. And I would almost wager to guarantee half the stuff we see on social media, people trashing the game or trashing any game per se, they haven't played it. We're seeing this with Plague Tale as well, that only runs at 30. And we had Digital Foundry put out a video and an article, just explaining what they think the reasoning behind this, and that it's not that big of a deal, and people just need to kind of get over it. But people won't. They're going to pick something that they're going to get mad at. And for me, I didn't notice it. Sure, I'd notice it if it was. I noticed when I played Spider-Man and it went to 120 frames, or I played any game where you get to start playing it at 120 frames. I'm like, oh my God, it looks great. But if it doesn't take me out of the experience while I'm playing, I don't care. Like, I just don't care. It's not something I'm looking for. For me, when I play a game, I'm looking for, is it fun? And is the story bringing me in? Otherwise, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the combat itself, I think it probably would have better been served at 60 frames per second, but it doesn't feel, sluggish or anything at 30 frames per second, or I don't feel like I'm messing up because of the frame rate. Or anything like that. And the frame rate dips when they happen are mostly when you're driving the bat cycle, I've noticed, when it goes below 30. But it's never really in combat or anything like that. The combat's smooth. But the main reason why I kind of wish they had like a performance mode is because there's a lot of like graphical stuff in this game that they might have been able to turn off, and why I'm hoping maybe that's why they could maybe do a patch down the line to remove some of this stuff. Like there's like ray tracing on in this game, and like I don't think this game, especially when you compare it to other versions of the game that don't have ray tracing on, I think it looks okay without ray tracing on. So I almost would have preferred a performance mode with no ray tracing on, even if it wasn't full 60. I still think it would have been better off with turning even some of that stuff off, or just looking how high res some of the textures are. I wish they could have, brought them down at least a little bit for that, but I can totally understand, them, not wanting to do that or anything like that. And again, the game totally plays just fine the way it is. But again, it just has some, nitpicky problems. Like, I don't like how my character just gets stuck on stuff. Like, I don't love the controls of, climbing up the buildings and stuff like that. Like, some of the traversal controls I just don't really like. It kind of reminds me of, like, some of the older Assassin's Creed games where sometimes I'd be trying to, like, have my character walk around a box, but they'd get stuck on, like, the invisible, hitbox of the box. So it looks like you have to like go extra wide around certain objects in the environment and stuff like that. So again, little things like that are the things that take me out of the experience more than anything. But again, like 12 hours in, I've been having a hard time putting it down because I've just really been enjoying the experience, and the story itself is pretty good too, and I like where it's going. So yeah, so far so good with Gotham Knights. I'm really
when you play a game, are you performance or are you graphics? Like which mode? Like the reason why I ask is because a lot of the games that have come out, and Sony first party actually does a very good job of that, where they put especially with God of War right now, and it's out there in public, like how they do the graphics mode, so you can actually do graphics but favor performance. So you're doing pretty much at like 40 frames per second at some points with your. But for me, like I agree with you on the ray tracing. Like I don't care about ray tracing.
Yeah.
Like if I can get performance, I'm going to choose performance every single time over graphics.
Yeah, because a lot of times, a lot of games I've noticed this generation either like have a graphics mode with ray tracing on or a performance mode without it, and that's why I brought up the ray tracing thing, because that's something I've commonly seen with other games, and I wish
Spider-Man
they didn't have.
Was a perfect example. They took ray tracing out, right?
Exactly, and I again, to answer your question, I'm very much a performance person, but it depends on the game, because like RPGs, like turn-based RPGs and stuff like that. Like Soul Hackers 2 being an example that came out earlier this year. It had a performance mode, but I played it on quality mode because it's a turn-based game, and at that point, I don't need it to run at 30 frames per second.
Yep.
But a game like Gotham Knights, because of the way the combat works and because like you're doing a lot of precision dodging and stuff like that, I feel like that would be better served with 60 frames per second, especially with performing like the near miss dodges, which are actually pretty important to taking down some of the harder bosses in this game. I've noticed. I think that would have been better served with performance mode.
Fair.
But yeah, either way,
I just wish they give us options, right? As long as they give you options, that's my only thing. Like everybody keeps talking about next gen's got to be this, this, and this. For me, if each game comes out and they give me an option of performance or then I'm cool. I don't care. Let me choose what I want to see on the screen. Yeah. Don't make the choice for me.
And again, it's only a standout, and it's only weird because we've been so spoiled with so many games giving us that option since the PlayStation 4 Pro came out. Because again, before the PlayStation 4 Pro had come out, because that was really one of the first systems where developers were really giving us a lot of these options. For the most part, the developers would always make the decision for us, and now we've gotten so used to developers giving us multiple modes to choose from that's why it feels weird. I think that it's not here in a game like this. But again, either way, from both of us here, I think we're both having fun with the game. So I still think there's a lot of good times to be had with Gotham Knights, even if it doesn't have 60 frames per second. So
yeah, like I said, I am playing possibly the game everybody wants to be playing right now, and I literally put it down and I'm like, should I just play Gotham Knights just for a little bit? Just for a little bit.
Well, after you're done that review, Court, I think you and I are gonna have to make time to do a Gotham Knights co-op session.
100%. I am. It was my most anticipated game of the year, and it was the one everybody was clowning on before it even got released, and I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah,
it's typical, right? Like look at Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's getting its redemption now, and then they're able to. We'll probably talk about it. They're able to drop news today. CD Projekt Red, and instead of everybody complaining about Cyberpunk, everybody was like all excited about the news they dropped today, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. But it's different with that one. We'll get to that story in just a second. But anyways, let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It's time for some breaking news, and we got some cool news stories this week. And this first one, I never thought we would ever actually get, and it's what I've kind of been wanting for a while. Microsoft announced yesterday during an Age of Empires live stream that Age of Empires is finally coming to consoles for the first time in a very long time. I'll get to that in just a second. So Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition will arrive on Xbox Series X and S on January 31st next year, while Age of Empires 4 will arrive on Series X and S sometime in 2023. This will mark the first time the series has been on consoles since 2006's Age of Empires: The Age of Kings hit the Nintendo DS, and then also 2001's European and Japanese only port of Age of Empires 2 on PlayStation 2. So that's the history of Age of Empires on consoles. It was on PS2, only in Europe and Japan in 2001, and then of course Age of Kings on Nintendo DS. And that version, the DS version, was actually a strategy RPG and not a real-time strategy game anyways. It's a game that Garrett and I actually talked about quite a lot on the RPG Cave. So this news got me really excited, Court, because I've always loved the Age of Empires series, and I'm one of those people that actually likes playing real-time strategy games on consoles. Plus, they announced too that this is getting full mouse and keyboard support, so you don't have to play it with the controller. It'll play just like the PC version if you want to. You play it that way and hook up a mouse and keyboard to your Xbox. So I'm pretty excited about this news. But what do you think about this, Court?
Well, but oddly enough, I'm the one that buys Civilization every single version on consoles when you can play it. Because I, like yourself, I do like playing some of the PC games. I put out a little joke on Twitter saying, suck at PC players. We're finally getting the games on console, you nerds. But in all fairness, I am excited about this. I prefer playing games on console or PC. I don't know what it is. I've tried. I've played a lot of games on PC just recently, doing reviews, and I still go back to playing it on console. So this one here, I'm excited about it. I almost thought that for some reason that Xbox kind of let this out of the bag not too long ago by an accident, because I was like, when the news dropped and everybody was talking about it, I'm like, didn't we already know this?
Well, it got leaked
I was
yesterday,
so confused.
but then I don't know if it ever got out of the bag before that. But
I thought it did by an accident, like in a media release. They put it out somewhere where it said console under it instead of just, how when they do Game Pass, it said.
Now that I think about it,
I thought they did.
It might have been
said Xbox Series X and S.
You're right, Court. Now that I think back, I think it might have actually been in the Nvidia leak.
I thought so. That's what I thought. I thought we already knew this. So when this all came out, I was like, I almost at one point was like, didn't we find out about this in the showcase? Like, I was so confused. I was like, okay, yeah, great. Everybody's talking about it now.
Yeah.
All right. I want to play it.
Yeah. These games are awesome. Especially Age of Empires 2 in particular. I spent hundreds of hours playing it on PC back in the day. And the Definitive Edition is great on PC, but I just don't really have a good gaming PC to play it on at this point. So I'm actually really excited to kind of revisit this game on consoles. It's coming out at a very busy time though, because January is becoming super packed with games at the moment. So I don't know when I'm going to get time to play this one, but I am excited to go back to it on Xbox. And then Age of Empires 4 is a game that I've wanted to check out ever since it came out last year. But again, similar situation. I've just never had a good enough PC probably to jump into that experience. So,
and it also, if they do provide cloud gaming for this, it also could end up being that perfect game to play on your phone.
They actually announced in the announcement that it is coming to game streaming. So
for me, that is the perfect game that when I'm in the morning, my daughter's watching the TV and we're just having breakfast together, I a lot of the times try and play games. Like Donut County was one that I was playing for a really long time because it was so easy to play on touch controls. So for me, this type of game, even though it's a mouse and keyboard, it could almost be very easy to play on touch controls as well, so that this is a game that I could play first thing in the morning.
Nice. So yeah, look forward to that sometime later next year. Again, we know in January we'll have Age of Empires 2, and then we'll definitely be playing it, I think, at some point next year.
Sure.
But next up, CD Projekt Red announced this morning that a remake of The Witcher is in early development over at Polish studio Fool's Theory, with CD Projekt Red with full creative control of the project. It will arrive sometime, quote unquote, in the future. So they said it's very early in development and basically just don't ask about it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Continuing the string of announcements from CD Projekt Red of being like, yeah, we got a whole bunch of games. They'll just come at some point. That's it.
Are they trying to sell themselves? It's so weird the amount of announcements they're making so far into the future.
No, I don't think it's them they're trying to sell themselves, because this is not new for them. Think about when Cyberpunk got announced, or think about,
fair enough. That was E3 so long ago.
And
2015, 2016?
No, it was even longer than that. They announced Cyberpunk 2077 before the PS4 came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It had been they give us that cinematic trailer of that woman android, being shot by the police. Way before the console generation. It was almost 10 years before it came out. Was when that trailer came out. And The Witcher 3 was kind of in the same boat as well, where they announced it I think it was 5 or 6 years before it was supposed to come out. It was really far ahead of time for that game too. So they just do this all the time. They tend to just announce games very early in development. So I don't think it's them trying to be sold. But what's interesting about this news is that CD Projekt Red is not developing this one, because we know they already announced that they're working on a Witcher 4, and they're also working on
another Witcher game in the Witcher world.
Yeah, exactly. So we know that they're busy with other stuff. So this remake being developed by another studio that I just don't really know, too much.
And it's in Unreal Engine.
Yeah, it's in Unreal Engine 5. They announced as well. But I'm curious to know how this is going to turn out. I'm also, while we're talking, I'm Googling.
Did you ever play the first one? I've only ever played The Witcher 3. I've never played any of the other ones.
I played the original one because it was PC only back in the day, and I could not get into it. But I looked up this developer just now to see what games they made. So they developed their only fully developed game is a game called Seven, which I know nothing about. It looks like some like sci-fi kind of game. And then they're actually mostly a support studio known for working on Baldur's Gate 3, Divinity Original Sin 2, and then Outriders. So they've worked on some big games, but they haven't really like developed their own like AAA kind of game before. So it's kind of interesting that they're being brought in to do this one. Maybe they had like a really good pitch for CD Projekt Red, and then maybe that's how that led to them is developing this one. But either way, I'm excited to see more of the Witcher remake, whatever comes out. Again, it's one of those games that like should absolutely get remade because it's very much, it's so hard to go back to the original game. Like, it doesn't play super well. I mean, the story is good, but it's so hard to play that first game. Like, the combat is not a good combat system. And that was even a criticism of the game when it first came out. So it's not even just old game is old kind of talk with this one.
Well, and it's also it's so long ago that game came out, so it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
we talk about, people get complaining about remasters and all these type of things. I never do. I just whatever, just put the game out. You can put out the game 15 different times. But some games, if they've just come out like 2 years ago, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're gonna do a remaster on it, or what do they call it? Director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
Give me one of the games that are from like 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
give me BioShock. Give me something like that.
Mhm.
Redo that.
Yeah, this
Please.
is, again, the perfect example of what you want to see. Because, again, this came out in the PS2 era and on PC only. So it's just like, yeah, of course we would, like, this makes perfect sense for a remake or remaster.
And the world is, everybody loves the TV show. People love The Witcher 3. It's almost just makes too much sense.
Yeah, and not only that too, but I mean, the story from the first game ties into The Witcher 3, and you actually lose some stuff, playing The Witcher 3 without playing the first one first. So I do think that this is like a really good move. So I'm actually glad this is finally happening. But next up, we got to talk about the Silent Hill Showcase, Court. You got to at least, give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes to
You
talk
got
about the Silent Hill.
I'll even mute my mic.
You can talk if you want, Court. You don't have to take yourself.
I have nothing to say, and you know it.
Okay, so we talked about it on last week's show. The Silent Hill transmission happened from Konami, where they announced a whole bunch of Silent Hill stuff. I was only expecting like one game to come from this and like a whole bunch of other weird like cross-promotional stuff. But no, we got like 3 new Silent Hill games to talk about here. So first up, we got the Silent Hill 2 remake coming to us from Bloober Team. It's going to be a PS5 exclusive to start, but the reason we're talking about it on this show is they did announce later it has a 1-year exclusivity window and then will be coming to other platforms after that ends.
Is it like a 1-year window like Final Fantasy did and we never saw it? Or is it
But they
just, this is
specifically
just-
say in the press release, they word it differently than the Final Fantasy one, where it's like 1-year exclusivity on PlayStation and it will be available then on other consoles. Whereas the Final Fantasy one, it's just like PlayStation exclusive for 1 year and just doesn't say anything about other consoles. So like Konami's made it pretty clear that this will be on Xbox at some point in the future. Unless by other consoles they mean Switch. But I doubt this will ever come to Switch. But they had a pretty cool trailer for it. I'm really excited for it. I love Silent Hill 2. It's one of my all-time favorite games. So I'm excited for this remake from Bloober Team. But then they announced 2 additional titles that we don't have platforms for yet, but we know are not exclusive games. So we've got Silent Hill Transmission coming to us from Annapurna, as well as Silent Hill F, which is written by Ryukushi7, who is the creator of the Higurashi When They Cry anime and visual novel series, which I'm a huge fan of. That's one of my all-time favorite anime. So it's so cool that he's writing the next Silent Hill game. It takes place in like 1960 Japan, and we didn't really get too much because it was like a cinematic trailer, and it's supposed to be like very far out, like much farther out than Silent Hill 2 remake. But I'm like so stoked to see what that's gonna be because I love like his style of horror, because like the Higurashi games and anime are basically about these 5 like elementary school kids in 1980s Japan, but after a series of bizarre murders happen in their small town, it's basically starts to lead to trying to figure out and solve the murder as to why these murders are taking place, but also it's like really gruesome because some of the kids actually get involved with the murders or do the murdering themselves, and it's in this like interesting time loop, and every time the time loops, it's a different murderer each time. So it's just really, really, really cool to see him working on a video game that's not a visual novel for the first time, and I'm so excited what they do with this game. But again, I know you don't have a lot to say about this, Court, so I'm going to wrap up the segment. But
You can talk. Hey, man, gaming is for everyone, and there's probably a game I could talk about that you probably couldn't care any about. So it's not a big deal.
Well, it's true.
Does this get the Brian Murford seal of approval?
100%. Like this, as a Silent Hill fan, Court, like this Silent Hill showcase was like everything I ever wanted them to do. And it's clear that Silent Hill is back, and couldn't be more excited about the future of Silent Hill. But also, I'm also just excited to see Konami making games again and doing good stuff. And we got a taste of that with the Cowabunga collection a couple months ago. And now we've got Silent Hill coming back, and now we're basically prepping for either Metal Gear to come back after this, or Castlevania. Like, they have so many great franchises that they've just been sitting on. And I'm so happy that they're not only back, but they're also, again, bringing these games to developers that make sense to make them. They're almost like they're taking the Disney games approach, where rather than making the games themselves, they're going to the developers that they think can do a great job with this and basically pitching the idea to them.
Now, do you think this could be like a resurgence like we've seen with Capcom, where they're like, hey, you know what? We've had these IPs. We've done nothing with them for a while. Now and then they have a success with one of them, like, oh my God, people love our games. And you're like, yeah, like we've always loved your games. Like, just bring them out.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be in that vein, especially because, again, Silent Hill 2 is a very popular game, and it's a game that I think a lot of people are really going to want get their hands on. So I think it'll sell. I don't know if it'll do like Resident Evil numbers, but I think it'll do very, very, very well for them. And again, I think that'll just lead to a resurgence for Konami.
And I hope so, because I'm a huge Metal Gear fan.
Yeah.
So if I can get some Metal Gear games out of this, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, 100%.
See?
I'm so excited.
I like games. I just don't like all of them.
Yeah. But again, that makes sense with a lot of the rumors that we'd heard about Metal Gear, because all the rumors that we'd heard about Metal Gear was that Metal Gear was coming back, but it wasn't going to be developed by Konami, which kind of slants in exactly what they did with the showcase, which is, I think, the perfect idea for this. Because again, if they don't want to develop the games themselves, then yeah, give them to other teams to make them for you. I think it's a great idea. So there you go. All right. Next up, news that maybe Court could talk about. Fallout 4 is getting a free next-gen console patch that will arrive on Series X and S sometime in 2023. The update will include high frame rate support, 4K additional support, bug fixes, and free Creation Club content for the game. And before I go to you, Court, about this one, we got a question about this from Nagachaka at Nagachaka, who asks, with the announcement of current gen update coming to Fallout 4 in 2023, Court, will you be playing this RPG gem day one? Also, Ryan, will you be playing through this game again, and this time not mass murdering all of your companions? So, Court, I'm going to start with you. First of all, what do you think about this news, and will you be playing it?
So I tried to play this. So I had never played any Fallout games. And when Fallout 4 came out, it's situated in Boston, one of my favorite places in the United States. So I was all excited. I was like, oh, because people that I know that live in the area, like, you can actually see landmarks and you can recognize things, even though it's a wasteland and it's a dystopia, but you can recognize things. And I found the game to just be so janky and so Bethesda. I just couldn't. Like, I was like, how do people play these things? Because it was just, I remember I got stuck in a door. It was breaking down here. And it was the story itself, though. I was very compelled and I wanted to know more, but the game just hated me and it didn't want to play. And then I got to this one boss and I couldn't get anywhere. Like, I couldn't get past it no matter what. It didn't matter. I kept dying and my save was screwed and I would have to start all over again. Like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
So yes, to answer his question, I'm 100% day and date for this. I'll be playing it as soon as it comes out. I'm actually very excited because the Fallout series is one of those series that I wanted to get into because it feels like a very core-ass game for sure, like everything about it. So I'm excited to jump into this and explore Wasteland and see what happens.
Nice. As for me, I'm excited that this is actually getting a next-gen upgrade. I mean, we kind of got an announcement of this a long time ago when they announced that there was a 60 frames per second patch coming to Fallout 4 during like the Series X reveal, I think is when they announced that. It was a long time ago that they announced that this type of upgrade was coming. But I'm glad to see it getting like farther support. And to your point, Court. Like I like how they mentioned specifically there's gonna be lots of bug fixes here as well. So maybe they'll be able to fix up some of the jank that you talked about before. And I know there's been a lot of bug fixes over the course of time, anyways. But hopefully it's as as smooth and as polished as possible when people get a chance to play this. But as for me, I just don't know if I'm gonna jump back into this, if I'm honest, because I just didn't really like it as much the first go around. And again, my problems weren't with the story or the frame rate itself or even jankiness. It was just the design and the focus on the base building aspect, which I just did not care for at all. And in the fact that it was kind of the way it was shoehorned into the campaign, it just broke me, and it made me very sad. So,
and I have heard that, so that might be an issue. Maybe I'll just get my character to Fenway, because I know that's a place where you can go in the game. Then I'll be like, all right, cool. I've seen Fenway Park in a video game. I can hop out now.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if I'll go back to this one, but Nagachaka, I mean, much to your dismay, if I was to play this game again, I would murder everyone all over again and enjoy every second of it, because I like to be evil in games, Court. That's just who I am, But moving on to another game that Court probably doesn't care about, but I have to at least acknowledge.
Come on, Brian.
Team Ninja have announced the release date for Wulong Fallen Dynasty. The game will launch on Series X and S on March 3rd. I played the demo for this. I think I talked about it last month. I really enjoyed this. This is kind of like the Neo Dark Souls coming from Team Ninja that we know is kind of aligned in the marketing with Xbox. And I really enjoyed it when the demo came out, so I'm really excited for the full game. I love Neo and Neo 2, which again is topical because Neo 2 is actually coming to PlayStation Plus next month, and I saw Court questioning whether Neo 2 is actually a good game in our Discord.
Well, Sean put in there, he was like, this is a great lineup, and I was like, you're getting a Lego game from like 15 years ago, and you're getting a game that has got a niche market. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. See, that argument makes sense, and I agree with that. But Neo 2 is like a really, really good game. But
my brother thinks Neo 2 is amazing. He loves that game. So
yeah, but that game's definitely not a game for everyone. Like it's very niche. But so I'm so excited for Wulong Fallen Dynasty. I can't wait to play it on Xbox next year, and it's Game Pass Day 1. So
and it looks good. That was the game we saw at the showcase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked very good. Like that, I believe I even said to you, because I was sitting beside you, I was like, I may have to just try this to see if I can, because I used to play Ninja Gaiden, and that's like the original, destroy you game while you're playing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it a try,
Yeah.
Yes, I know, Ryan, you could go through Ninja Gaiden probably with your eyes closed.
Oh, probably.
But still.
But it's also just, it's on Game Pass. So what do you got to lose at that point? You
exactly.
Just install it, and if it's not working, you just delete it. Who cares?
And that's one of the things I love about Game Pass. The games that I don't think are for me or so on and so forth, I'm going to try them regardless. I tried Plague's Tale. That is a question. I'll get into it right now. Kevin, sorry. I played 4 hours. I uninstalled it. It's just not for me, man. It's not for me.
Well, Court, bringing Kevin Ainsworth, because I have something to say about this question as well. Kevin Ainsworth at the Muffin Mon asks, Court, I have to ask about your playthrough of A Plague Tale is coming. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. And Court, I also played Plague Tale. I forgot to mention it during the rundown, and I played it for 2 hours and didn't play it. It didn't play it anymore.
You know what? Here's what I'll say. I will say this. Yes, the game is beautiful. The settings, it looked great. I just felt it. Maybe because I didn't finish the first one, because Kevin did mention I've listened to Kevin on Save the Game Media, and he was mentioning how I'll tell you a lot from the first one and it bleeds in a second. And I'm having that same issue with the game that I'm playing right now on PlayStation. If you haven't played the first one, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I just couldn't follow along with what was going on, and the combat system itself. Maybe it's the setting, maybe it's whatever. Usually when there's this combat system, it's either in an Assassin's Creed RPG where you can stealthily kill someone, or it's in The Last of Us where I have a shotgun or a gun and I can easily kill the person. But when I have just a knife that I only get to use once, or I'm throwing a rock to make them go over the other way, it's just not for me. Mm-hmm. But I will say it's beautiful. The level design looks great. There's a lot of positives for this game, and I can see why people love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat where it's like, it's definitely not for me, or at least not for me right now.
Yeah.
With all the other games coming out, like I think this is the game that maybe I play, in February or March next year, or April, I guess, because I keep forgetting that February and March keep getting games added to them. Like
Seriously.
Fulong Final Dynasty, again, another game in March. So I do want to play it at some point because I did like what I played, but I'm not going to go back to it right now. It's just not the right time, I think.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yikes. All right, next up, we got Brendan Myers, the Winter Gamer, who asks, if Xbox was to get its own Star Wars game, why would you want it to be a Grand Theft Auto style game where you play as Jar Jar Binks? Apparently, we got told what we want this game to be already, Court. Even though I'm going to throw it out there
on the show. I think he knew his audience to ask the question.
Of course, but just to throw it out there, Xbox already had its own Star Wars exclusive game, Star Wars Kinect. People keep forgetting that that's a game that actually
never even heard of that.
works in real life. Really? Are you just pulling my leg here, or do you?
No, I'm not pulling your leg. Was that on Xbox, the original Xbox?
It was on 360, and
Okay.
they even did a special edition Xbox 360 where the console itself was, done
R2D2?
in R2D2 colors.
I saw that.
And made R2D2 noises, and then the Kinect, it came with a Kinect that was solid gold painted.
With the lightsabers. Now I remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's also the game where it has Dance Central, stuff where you have like Star Wars themed songs in it. Oh, it's so bad. My old roommate Michelle, she used to force me to play it all the time. Like, this game's terrible. Why are we playing this?
Now, if they made Jar Jar like this badass character that was just going down killing Sith all over the place,
Mhm.
you know what? That's kind of pretty cool. And instead of a car, he's got like a pod racer or or a space shuttle. I do want a Star Wars game, but I am of the mind, as someone that really loves the Star Wars franchise, I just don't want it to be a console exclusive on anything. I want it to be, for me, Star Wars needs to be on everything. Like when KOTOR got announced and it was going to be PlayStation exclusive, I was kind of pissed off. And I usually don't care when they announce exclusives, but a game like that, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? You're going to console exclusive this thing?
Well, especially when you look back at the original KOTOR, the only reason it was Xbox exclusive was because the PlayStation 2 couldn't run the game. Like, it didn't have the technical specs to be able to run the game properly. It barely ran on really good PCs at the time. But the Xbox was so beefy in its specs that was the reason why it just naturally became an Xbox exclusive. So it was just weird to see it as a PlayStation exclusive. And likewise, it's just like Marvel games too. Like, and I don't see this just because I'm an Xbox fan, but like, I don't think Marvel games should be exclusive to consoles either. Like, it's weird to me to see a game like Spider-Man or Wolverine exclusive to Sony's platform. But
and supposedly we're getting Wolverine next year now. Thank you, Xbox.
yeah, apparently it's going to come out the same year as Spider-Man 2. Insomniac is just that good, Court. That's how it is.
I love that you brought up the point of Marvel, because I can't agree with you more on the fact that these games, they shouldn't be like, especially I just went to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Florida, and I brought my daughter, and she walked away knowing what Star Wars was, to all she wants to do is watch Star Wars shows, pretend that she's a Star Wars character. Like, that's all she wants to do is be Rey. And to keep that on one console and one ecosystem sucks.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just so weird to do that, because again, you're leaving just so much money on the table at that point as well. Because imagine a game like Spider-Man, if they could tailor the graphics correctly to work on something like Switch. Like, how cool would that be? Like, there's a lot, like, it's so weird to see those games kind of locked to platforms. But again, that's going down, a
I know.
The
The question kind of led into it, though.
That's true. It led into a little bit. Although a GTA style game where you play as Jar Jar Binks would be pretty fun. We could both agree.
Yeah, be gangster.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got the Google King at the Google King, who asks, do you think Halo Infinite has any shot at being nominated for Game of the Year at the Game Awards? So again, because it came out in December of last year, it is technically available to be nominated for Game of the Year. I have certain reasons why I'm actually going to abstain from answering this one. But Court, what do you think about this?
Yeah. For me, no. And as this was the very first game I ever reviewed at Carpool Gaming before I was officially a part of the team. No, I didn't think it was a game of the year at the time when we reviewed it. I don't think it's a game of the year now. I think it's a game that has a lot of promise that was under delivered on, and it wasn't finished. And I said that when I did my review. I stand by it. It seems like everybody at the time when I said it kind of disagreed with me, but then as of time, it seems that everybody's kind of in the same camp. But which is fine. I thought the story was phenomenal. I remember talking about with you and Sean. I thought the story was great. And I thought they could have actually done more. And I actually wanted a longer campaign. So I think the game has a ton of promise, but to be game of the year, no, there's a lot of great games that have come out this year, and I just don't think it's up to par. I didn't play Elden Ring, but I think that's gonna win.
Yeah.
I think that's game of the year. For the way everybody's talked about how great the story is and the lore of everything, I think Elden Ring is game of the year. Yeah. And I didn't even play it.
You could have, Court. You could have. It's been sitting there the whole year.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen.
Probably.
But is it my game of the year? No, but I think Forza was a better game than Halo, and not by a little bit, by a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the campaign for Halo a lot. So, yeah, I liked it a lot when it came out, but we'll see. And then last question of the week is a joke question. This comes from Blaze Knight, who asks, Ryan, if your sim had hair, what style or color would it be? Also, would it all be obscured beneath the astronaut helmet? Because, yes, my sim is technically an astronaut, Court. I don't know if you knew that.
Ooh, when do we get the big reveal, Ryan?
It's tomorrow at 2 p.m. on this channel, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So I will not. I will say, Blaze Knight, you will have to watch the stream tomorrow and find out.
Ooh, anticipation. You ended it on a cliffhanger. I like that.
Well, it's one of those things where Blaze Knight's actually been doing this for a couple weeks now. So it's just...
Can we name your sim? Does your sim get named?
It already has a name, and I can't change it. I mean, I could do that if I made it.
Do you know what name I'd want to give it?
What's that, Court?
Brian. Brian would be a good name.
That's not a good name at all, Court. But no. So again, look out for my Sims 4 stream tomorrow. That's one of the reasons why I didn't talk about the Sims today as well, because of course I've been playing it. But I don't want to,
I'm so intrigued to watch your stream tomorrow.
It's
I really am, because I haven't played The Sims since I was living at Yonge and Eglinton. That was, 14 years now. Mm-hmm. And I remember playing it on my PC. That was the one game I would play on PC, because I was like, it was a very good, if you're watching TV, you can play the game at the same time type game.
Yeah, it's actually like my kind of go-to podcast game now, where I listen to podcasts while playing The Sims. And a lot of times I don't even, because my new monitor doesn't have speakers on it at this point, so I just usually have my head, like I'm just listening to stuff on my computer while I play it. So I can't even usually hear the audio from the in-game audio.
Jesus.
Except for, of course, when I'm mixing jams, because of course my sim makes music for the record label Groovy Beats. I don't know if you've heard of them before, Court.
No, I have not heard of them. Sounds good though.
So I have my like mix table, and I'm like mixing and matching different sounds together, and you have to do that with the audio from the game. So that's the only time I ever listened to the audio from the game from The Sims. But there you go. You're learning so much about The Sims already, Court. But tomorrow,
I'm excited. The games like that are great. Like my daughter is thoroughly enjoying Dreamlight Valley, and that to me is a very comparable type game, just not Disney characters.
Absolutely.
So I have a funny feeling my daughter would love The Sims.
Yeah, it's real good. It's real good. And speaking of games that need next-gen upgrades, the Sims 4 is a game that absolutely needs like a next-gen
You're not wrong.
version. Like it needs a series.
You could make that look so realistic. It would be awesome. Put that in Unreal Engine 5. Wow.
You don't need that, but it does. Sometimes the frame rate can go all over the place with the game, and I'm like, it needs a Series X version to remove some of the load times and stuff. But
you've got it. You know what you need to do, Ryan? You need to create everybody from Carpool in the game. And then have it so like Sean's character doesn't take a shower, and see how angry he gets.
I could do that. Or I could take the Court Lalonde character and then put him in a room in the house and then remove the door, and then you just starve to death in the room.
Oh my God, please do so.
I actually should do that at some point. Actually.
Yeah, honestly, you should do that.
I never thought about the idea of making the Carpool fam
that'd be great
in The Sims. But anyways, we got to get going. But before we go, Court Plugs go. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Court Lalonde on Twitter, or you can find me on all the Carpool Gaming socials.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You'll probably see me tweeting about Star Ocean this weekend, but I'm sorry for that in advance. You can also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, on podcast services around the globe. So Court Lalonde. I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 263 of the Xbox Drive, and we're out.
I tried. That was